The sun sat high and harsh in the midday sky, but the world beneath it felt strangely cold. Cars rushed by with the kind of indifference that comes from people too busy surviving to notice anything beyond their own lives. On the sidewalk near a faded blue bus stop sign, a man slumped forward on the bench like his bones were too tired to hold him. His clothes were dusty, his hands cracked, and the exhaustion on his face looked older than the man himself. Anyone passing by could tell, he wasn't merely waiting for a bus. He was waiting for life to give him something, anything, that didn't hurt. And that was the exact moment a single mom named Malina Hart stopped in her tracks, clutching a grocery bag in one hand and her son's backpack strap in the other, unable to look away from the worn-out black man who seemed like he was silently falling apart right there under the bright daylight. She didn't know his story, but something in her chest whispered, "This man is at the edge, someone needs to see him." Before the story continues, if you believe kindness and second chances can change someone's entire life, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Tales. Your support keeps these real feeling stories alive. Malina hadn't planned on stopping. She was already late picking up her son from school, the grocery bag was heavy with things she could barely afford, and the heat was tightening around her like a rope. But something about the man on the bench, his trembling hands, the hollow look in his eyes, the way he kept clutching a folded paper like it was the last thing he had left, pulled her forward. She gently set the groceries down beside her feet. The man didn't look up when she approached. His shoulders were hunched as though he expected trouble or rejection or maybe both, and had learned not to flinch anymore. Malina swallowed the knot rising in her throat. Her voice shook slightly as she spoke. "Hey, sorry to bother you. You look like you're having one of those days that just crushes you." The man blinked, slowly lifting his eyes. They were tired, a rich deep brown with a storm behind them. He didn't answer, but there was a flicker there, like he didn't expect kindness. Malina hesitated for only a second, then said softly, "Think you need a hug, may I?" The man stared at her as if he'd forgotten what human gentleness even felt like. After a moment of disbelief, he nodded. She stepped closer and wrapped her arms around him. At first his body was stiff, almost frozen, like touch was something he hadn't experienced in a long time. Then gradually, painfully, he leaned into the embrace. Malina felt his shoulders shake once, then again, until his quiet breaking filled the air like a whisper of a storm. It was the kind of moment that could never be rehearsed or fabricated. It was raw, human, and heartbreakingly real. When he finally pulled back, breathing uneven, he wiped his face with the back of his hand. "Thank you," he whispered. "I'm sorry. No one's asked if I needed anything in a long time." "My name is Malina," she said gently. "And you don't need to apologize for needing kindness. Everybody does." He swallowed, then nodded. "I'm Rhett Dawson." His voice, though quiet, carried years of pain. The folded paper in his hand trembled. Malina glanced at it but didn't ask. She knew people shared their hurts only when they felt safe. They sat on the bench together, silence stretching between them like a fragile bridge. The heat felt less suffocating somehow. After a minute, Rhett exhaled shakily. "I used to work construction. Good job, steady hands, steady life. Had a little apartment, nothing much but mine. But the layoffs came fast, company downsized. After that, things just kept slipping through my fingers. Couldn't make rent. Had to sell my tools." His voice cracked. "And today I got turned down for the job I was counting on." He looked at his trembling hands again. "That paper is the rejection. I've got nowhere left to go." Malina felt her heart twist. She understood loss, not the same kind, but enough to recognize the smell of despair. She had become a single mom after her husband left 2 years earlier without a backward glance, disappearing into a new life while she was left picking up 1,000 broken pieces. She knew what it felt like to be abandoned by the world. She took a slow breath. "Rhett, I don't have much. But you're not alone today. Sit with me. Let's breathe together for a minute." And they did. Two strangers on a bus stop bench, holding on to the thin thread of a moment that felt like hope. A breeze drifted through the street, soft and welcome. The city noise turned distant. Rhett's breathing steadied. Malina didn't speak, didn't pressure him to say more, she just stayed. In a world that often rushed past hurting people like they were invisible, she chose to linger. The next bus wasn't due for 15 minutes, but Rhett whispered that he didn't even have fare to board it. Malina rummaged through her purse and found a few carefully counted bills she'd set aside for her son's school snacks for the week. She hesitated, feeling guilt punch through her. But then she looked at Rhett, really looked. A grown man too ashamed to ask for help, too defeated to stand tall, she pressed the money into his hand. Please take it. You need a chance to breathe somewhere safe. His eyes widened. I can't take that from you, you've already done enough. Let me choose kindness, she said gently. I believe it comes back around. Rhett looked at the money as though it were something holy. This means more than you know. The bus finally approached with a long sigh of brakes. As it slowed to a stop, Rhett stood, gripping the money in his hand like a lifeline. He turned to Malina, emotion thick in his voice. You didn't just hug me, you stopped me from falling apart. Thank you. Malina smiled warmly. Just promise me one thing, when you're doing better, help someone else. Kindness needs to travel. He nodded firmly. I will. He climbed onto the bus, turning one last time to offer a small, trembling smile. Malina waved back. The doors closed, and the bus rumbled away, carrying a man whose entire life had shifted because someone refused to let him disappear into hopelessness. Malina let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. She picked up her groceries, slung her son's backpack over her shoulder, and continued walking, her steps a little lighter, her heart a little fuller. Days passed, then a week, then two. Malina didn't expect to see Rhett again. She hoped he was okay, prayed for him quietly at night, and kept replaying the look in his eyes when she'd hugged him. But she also knew life had a way of scattering people like seeds in the wind. On a warm afternoon just before summer break, Malina picked up her son from school. They walked home together when a familiar voice called her name from across the street. She turned, and froze. Rhett stood there, no longer wearing the same dusty clothes, but neat, clean ones. His posture was straighter, his eyes brighter. In his hands was a small bag with a ribbon. He approached her carefully, respectfully. I've been looking for you for days, he said breathlessly. I got hired at a manufacturing shop a week after we met. I'm stable again. I've got a room, a paycheck coming, and I wanted to thank you properly. He handed her the small bag. Inside was a box of fresh pastries and a gift card to the grocery store. I know it's not much, he said softly, but I wanted you to feel what you made me feel that day, seen, helped, cared for. Malina swallowed hard, her vision blurring. Her son tugged her sleeve and whispered, Mom, is this the man you prayed for? Her heart broke open. Yes, she whispered. Rhett smiled gently. Your kindness saved me on a day I didn't think I could keep going. I hope this brings you even a fraction of the hope you gave me. Malina reached out and hugged him again, this time not out of concern, but gratitude.